the little kind, what, a plane? A plane has flown into the Pentagon. They've had an explosion at the Pentagon now.
That's confirmed.
I don't know if that's confirmed or not. It must be coming in from another. What's the source of that? CBS is reporting that a plane has flown into the Pentagon.
I hope that somebody's got some reports of where these planes were coming from.
Well, the one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center was definitely confirmed as an American Airlines 767 hijacked out of Boston. They haven't announced yet whether there was anybody on the plane or not.
Must have been. It must have been. The point is, unless it's really a goof up, because how can a plane take off without clearance?
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's taking off without clearance,
everybody will know it.
It becomes an immediate security problem.
Yes. Yeah. It's the Pentagon. It is confirmed now on several news sources that the Pentagon is experiencing explosions right now. My goodness.
They mean business.
They're evacuating the White House at the moment. And yes, they mean business. This is This is a very systematic operation. If they're snatching planes, if all three of these planes, the two we have from New York and this thing on the Pentagon, to get that kind of thing, to snatch planes like that, that's a pretty sophisticated operation. Oh yeah, this isn't a bunch of malcontents of some grassroots organization finally striking back. You're going to have some rather heavy-duty intelligence network and some real intelligence experience with this.
The question is, where were the relevant intelligence agencies who are in charge of monitoring this problem? Now, I've been putting this out for some time. Not this, I didn't know this airplane thing, but I assumed that was anything could happen. But on the Washington, D.C. targeting. So obviously the Pentagon means this is obviously clearly Washington, D.C. targeting. This is obviously intended to imply something coming out of the Middle East. Okay? This means that there's been some kind of either incompetence or a fix on the whole security operation. Because you can't get this kind of thing without a real goof on the security side. So somebody in charge of security was not really very effectively in charge. You can't go around snatching planes in a coordinated fashion like this. You can't do it. Somebody has to be really sloppy.
Well, we've got, if this were arising from some Middle East effect, it's been almost a year now since the Clintons did their about-face with the Palestinians in order to secure election for Hillary with the Jewish vote in New York. And ever since then, I don't know what the death count is, between 2,000 and 3,000 maybe, in the Middle East, just because of Hillary's need to get the Jewish vote.
Well, I think that was something that fell in there.
Well, that's probably true, but then Sharon's march up the Temple Mount stairs.
But it's not Sharon. Sharon did. It's not Sharon's operation.
No.
The thing is, it comes from the inside of the Israeli Defense Forces, and that Sharon is virtually a civilized human being compared to some of those guys in there. And I've been afraid that they might kill him in order to use his killing as a pretext for using, shall we call them, weapons of mass destruction against places like Baghdad and Damascus and Tehran.
Were they the forces behind Rabin's assassination?
Yeah, these safeguard. Absolutely. And they're people in the United States who politically, in a sense, are authors of the production of some of the nuts who have been shipped into Israel to increase the problem. Then, of course, you have the operation, which is you have them in the Arab world. You have some of the same people who are running the Israeli nuts are also running an operation by recruiting certain Islamic nationals, people of Islamic persuasion, to do similar kinds of things in order to set, rub two sticks together to make a fire.
All right, these aren't isolated events. There's some orchestration, some intelligence behind all of this. This isn't just the IDF. It isn't just Osama bin Laden or somebody wanting to bring down the infidel in the name of Allah. We've got confirmed now the White House is being evacuated. The Pentagon is evacuated. It was just a fire. It wasn't a bomb, but they have a record of a U.S. military helicopter circling the Pentagon, and then there was a massive fireball.
Okay.
Where does this? What's? I'm sorry.
Could be another truck or something.
Yes, it could be another truck bomb. Those shape charges have proven to be very effective in the past. So, where does this end then? Not in the sense of in the future. Where does this end in the sense of organization? Where's this going back to, Lyndon? Who's doing this?
This goes back in a sense to me. Because what's happened is the United States no longer has leadership. That is officially. The present presidency, the Republican Party as an organization in the Senate and the House, it's a complete moral and intellectual disaster. There's some good people in there. But there's not a leadership, a unified leadership, or anything like coherence. In the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party in the Senate, which now has the slim margin of majority in the Senate, has no leadership. It has no response to the reality of the present period. And when you have the leader of the Senate, the Democrats, the leader of the House there, saying that he's not going to do anything because it's up to George Bush, when he knows that George Bush can't do anything of significance, it's complete irresponsibility. And then all the other institutions, political institutions, party institutions. The problem is that people have, for so long, have believed so deeply in the kind of changes in culture which were introduced over the past 35 years, especially since Nixon ran his Southern strategy campaign, that we have lost our sense of leadership in the nation. We've lost our sense of what the United States' leading role must be, not because of somebody's ego, but because of our responsibility in the world at large. I know from my direct personal experience, and I have, Jack, in a lot of countries, South America, Central America, different parts of Asia, Russia, Germany, Eastern Europe, Italy, so forth, England even. I know people in these countries. If I were in a position of leadership in Washington, and either president or advising a president, I know how to deal with this kind of problem. We on the world have the resources. The United States has the ability to get the cooperation on those resources. But what I fear now is that some fool is going to say, no, we're going to go along with the existing team. The existing team is what's caused the problem. It's failed.
I got to go to another traffic update, but the FAA has just grounded all flights in the United States. This hasn't happened since World War II. All flights are now grounded in the United States. Don, how's our traffic?
We've got an accident westbound I-215 on the south side near Union Park. It is off.
Apparently, what we got here, Air Force. There are FAA flights in the air, of course, that are being brought down or being told to come down. President Bush is currently in Washington State at an elementary school talking about education. Well,
not so much for education, but maybe it keeps him calm.
Yeah, but he says he's going to get to the bottom of this in a hurry. There are pictures of Air Force One. Get that back up there for a second. All flights are halted except Air Force One, and it's coming back to Washington. Maybe he's already on the plane. But the Pentagon's evacuated. The White House is evacuated. Gosh, maybe Leesburg better evacuate. This is. There's been a history of distractions that have been perpetrated to try to keep, all of this Gary Condit stuff, things like this, just distractions to keep people's minds away from what is taking place of a much more serious nature, not the least of which is what is happening in the marketplace, the stock exchange, and all the exchanges for that matter. This, I guess, is going to be the distraction of all time. It's hard to imagine this. I mean, we've got a break coming up here shortly. I think we have you scheduled for another hour, don't we, Lynn? Yeah, good, because we can all take a look at the television during the NBC News break. I can imagine what they're going to be talking about on the radio. And then we can get back together at 8 o'clock and get that going. But we've got just a couple of more minutes here, and that is, we're dealing with a mindset here that is certainly not oriented towards the preamble of our Constitution, and in fact, I don't know that they're even oriented towards any basic Judeo-Christian thought in the divine nature of man, but more in the sense of some misguided Darwinian concepts that we are part of an evolutionary tree that needs to be curbed and culled and husbanded, and who will stop at nothing. Who else? What else? I have no reason to. There's no way to substantiate this, but jets into a building is one thing, but there's a lot of other things that can be done with our water supply and our air and the biological chemical stuff that could be going on right now that isn't quite as obvious as an exploding office building in downtown New York.
Well, the bad problem is now this is going to generate, obviously, just as you indicate, it's going to generate whatever happens really, that is in actuality, the paranoia is going to produce effects just as if it had happened, even if it didn't.
Yes. Yeah, yes, because that's how we work, isn't it? And the thing that worries me the most about this is not that the initial attack may be over with, but what will be a leaderless government's response to this?
That's the question. This could be the worst thing the United States could do to itself.
Yeah, it's
nobody trusts the United States abroad right now. The election, what happened on November 7th last year, what happened in the Supreme Court.
Well, it was a coup. It was a Supreme Court coup for the White House.
But all these things, from the standpoint of Europeans and others abroad, looking at the United States, Japan is on the edge. It's taken about all it can take in terms of blackmail from the United States. China is reconciled itself to the fact that the United States is the market of last option.
Same with Mexico.
Yeah, the same thing. Mexico, the president of Mexico, presumably the one guy who George W. Bush would know where to find him, came to Washington to meet with the president, brought up an agenda which the president should have been informed about beforehand, undoubtedly was. And the president meets with President Vicente Fox, on this question of immigration, which we ought to have a working understanding on. If you don't have the final solution, at least you can be working at it and say we're going to work on it. We don't. He turned it down. The president publicly turned it down. Sent the president of Mexico, presumably the only president on this planet who really liked or tried to like George Bush, and he sends him packing to Mexico in desperation about a political crisis which the United States, in a sense, is imposing upon its neighbor Mexico. This is the kind of thing that people around the world, seeing this happen in the United States, if the president reacts in we're going to get revenge, we're going to teach everybody a lesson method, the president will have the worst possible effect for the United States. This is not the way to react.
All right. Why don't you take a break for about 5, 6, 7 minutes, Lynn? We are going to go to the NBC news break. Yeah, you just hold on, sir. I'll be right back with you very shortly. This is K-Talk, KTKK, Sandy, Salt Lake, Ogden, and Highland. Stick around. We've got another hour of this. I can't, in all honesty, I can't think of anybody I would want on the radio more right now at this moment in history than Mr. LaRouche. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Apparent terrorist act. That's what President Bush says about planes that hit the World Trade Center towers in New York City.
2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
Traffic reporter Tom Kaminsky flew nearby after the first plane hit one of the towers.
Are now looking at flames shooting out of the north side of number 1 World Trade Center, but there are at least some windows blown out and smoke billowing out of the opposite side.
About 18 minutes later,
Ronnie, oh my gosh, another plane has just hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion.
the second plane hitting the other tower. U.S. officials are saying the first plane was an American Airlines 767 hijacked after leaving Boston. Also, a fire reported at the Pentagon, an aircraft down there. The FAA has ordered airports closed. I'm Steve Kathan.
Boy, I'll tell you, that ought to just really give you some hope and confidence that George Bush Jr. would be directing a world war.
Well, imagine the myth of the thing about Pearl Harbor was that Roosevelt planned it. You have some people who spread that myth.
Yep.
They don't. They say that because they wish to believe it, not because they have any evidence. The evidence is quite contrary. The British had organized Japan to bomb Pearl Harbor, to attack it, a naval attack on Pearl Harbor, back at the beginning of the 1920s, when the British were allied with Japan against the United States on the question of the naval power agreement. And this was a thing that Billy Mitchell talked about in his court-martial. And he wasn't particularly liked for that. But what happened is contrary to what the U.S. expected, because they did send the aircraft carriers out to sea, just because of the tension with Japan at that time, in order not to put the aircraft carriers at risk from the Japan Navy. And we saw what happened at Midway later as a result of that wise decision.
Yeah, and the Coral Sea.
This kind of, some people would like to think that if you convince the American people that Pearl Harbor has been bombed again, that you can use that effect, which I saw on the streets on Sunday, that famous Sunday, December 7th, 1941. You can use that event to mobilize the American people particularly under the conditions of present denial and hysteria about the economy and so forth. They can do something and mobilize the United States in a foolish direction. This will drive the world berserk. To think that you have lunatics in the United States who would even threaten to go to world war over a thing like this. Instead, we should recognize we've made some mistakes and correct them real fast and coolly.
Yeah.
With as little panic as possible.
I got another one for you. The smoke in downtown Manhattan is clearing, and there is no second tower.
Okay. That I can understand. But that also is first. Remember, this is awful. But those of us who have...
what response can the United States possibly have now?
The United States needs a Franklin Roosevelt who would say we have nothing to fear as much as fear itself. Yes, we have things to fear, but nothing as much as fear itself. Nothing as much as panic itself. This is a time for cool heads. You do not win wars by panicking, by flight forward. And what I'm afraid of from this White House is because of its very weakness, it will tend to go into flight forward. I mean, actually, George W. Bush is not exactly a combat veteran. So you don't expect him. I mean, he may have been in the National Guard down in Texas. But he's not the kind of guy you want in charge of a military major unit in the time of war. You want somebody with a cool head. You want MacArthur's in time of war. You want commanders like that. You want leaders like that who do not blow their gaskets. And even in the face of the most horrible penalties, do not lose self-control. I'm afraid that there are people in Washington who are going to delight in having a sexual fantasy about losing self-control. They're going to pull out some kind of a Hollywood horror movie and try to act that out as a scenario.
This advice of nothing to fear but fear itself goes right down to to the last man listening to this program right now. I mean, we have people in Washington right now who I can see them sitting at a table saying, we have got to have the president order martial law immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of crazy thinking.
Absolutely. The worst thing they can do. It's the worst thing for the security of the United States to pull a stunt like that. Whoever would do it has to be a real certifiable historical idiot.
Well, what can be, what should be the U.S. response in the next 24 to 48 hours to this?
I would hope that some of these guys get smart enough to call me up.
Well,
because there are people that I would think of as the kind of team that could be pulled together as a special team to advise the president and other institutions on how to respond to this, and to reach out to other governments informally for the informal kind of cooperation which will make the formal cooperation work.
All right, I've got a couple of people with some questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and bring you folks on the air along with Lyndon LaRouche. Ryan, you're on the Stockwell Show.
Hi, Lyndon. It's exciting to talk to you. I really haven't been introduced to your movement until I started listening to the Jack Stockwell Show. But I find that you have quite a few interesting things to say. And, boy, Jack's been talking about this crap for a long time, and I'll tell you, it's really scary. I've wanted to see if maybe you thought that maybe this was an oligarchical ploy to gain power at a key time, or if you think maybe this is just a random terrorist attack.
No, it's not random. This is obviously a highly planned attack by a very capable agency. This kind of thing is, if it is coordinated as portrayed, and I see no reason to work any other working hypothesis at this time. If it becomes less, fine, be grateful. But this already is a horror show of first magnitude.
Oh, my heck, I can't believe it. I mean, I can't believe they even collapsed the tower. It just...
All right, well, but this couldn't happen, but this is not amateur night.
No.
This is big. Therefore, the first thing we need is cool heads.
I agree, and that's what I'm afraid of. Just like Jack said, I'm afraid of them declaring martial law. I can just see it as plain as day, them saying they need to come and...
That would be the end of the United States. The United States could not take martial law.
No.
Disintegrate.
I know they couldn't take it, and that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, it just, oh my gosh, I can't believe how scary it is if they, and I guess I just see them doing it as plain as day. That's the thing that terrifies me.
You get some Ku Klux Klan mentality would think that would work, but anybody who knows anything knows that this country right now is morally very fragile. This country can disintegrate as a nation. It's very fragile as a result of what's been done to it. As a result of the entertainment that supplied it.
Correct.
What appears on television, other forms of mass entertainment.
Well, and I think it's all been a ploy over the last 50 years by the oligarchy to obtain the power that they want over this country.
Well, it's actually to change the world in a certain way. But I'm not drawing any conclusions beyond what I know, because I have to be cool at this time, because I'm vindicated in a sense.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have not got the luxury of indulging myself in any wild speculation. I have to be cool. Anything I say, I have to be right.
I'm glad that we have one person who's going to be.
No, so I'll say what I know, but I'm not going to leap to conclusions. I'm going to see what the facts are. But in the meantime, I know the first thing is keep cool, especially those who are in leading positions.
I agree. I appreciate your time, Lyndon.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
What happened, what they're saying now, Lynn, is that the second plane flew into one of the structural corners of the second building, knowing that it would bring that. They think that's what brought the second one down. Was that the plane? Obviously, well, I don't know, obviously, because I don't know either, but I would suspect that anybody that would be going to that kind of an extreme move would have those planes loaded with sufficient explosives.
Understood. Well, the fuel alone is something, you know.
Yeah.
It's shortly after takeoff, a fuel plane has a certain amount of explosive potential. No, I think we just got to get more evidence on it. But obviously, what we know is that this is, as
All right, I'm going to get another traffic update. Then we come back. I want to talk about what the IDF would be trying to accomplish with an act like this. All right, let's get Don on here. Don, you're on the Stockwell Show.
Good morning. I'm Don Levitt, K-Talk Traffic.
Thanks, Don.
You bet.
It's interesting here. 23 minutes after the hour, my guest, Lyndon LaRouche. I've often told you, ladies and gentlemen, that my source of information that I use relative to my radio programs comes from a majority of sources from around the planet. Newspaper headlines out of Germany, out of China, out of Russia, out of South America, France, Italy, the British Isles. And one thing that is predominant in international media that you do not see in the United States media is the discussion of Mr. LaRouche and his ideas regarding a new Bretton Woods, individual state sovereignty, the end of this economic system in the sense that it has to be completely reorganized, or what has happened, these are my words, what has happened in Manhattan will happen to the rest of the world financially. And I have often talked about that. I have given you phone numbers where you can check in the information yourself. I've had information in my office that you can come by in my clinic to pick up additional information. And what is going on right now, I've been talking about 3 to 4 years, ever since my association with Mr. LaRouche, in the sense of the orchestration of events leading in this particular direction to force the United States to come to war in the Middle East. And I've talked about that. I've talked about how I don't want to see my sons going to war in the Middle East. But I can't help but see that day materializing before me. Lynn, is the American government crazy enough right now to have a war response to this?
Well, they try stupid enough.
All right.
Then that's possible.
Who would they go shooting at?
Well, they would just react.
You know, more intensified bombings of Baghdad or something stupid like that.
Or some foolish thing. They would react out of stupidity. See, the problem here is that years ago, we had certain criteria like industry, agriculture, science, physical reality. And therefore, you had a population which would look at things in a practical way, in the way a progressive farmer, the way a small entrepreneurial industrialist would look at things, an engineer, so forth. We don't have that anymore. We have a population which lives more and more in fantasy land. And you have leaders who are selected. Look, let me be frank. I think this is a time we got to be very honest, no strained politeness. Look, we had 2 idiots running for president as of up to November 7th of last year. One dumb with a real bad combination around him. And he had the other one who was a mental case of a different kind. Score. This is a fact. I mean, this is a reality. This is not the time to be polite or to be diplomatic. And therefore what happened is the institutions, including the mass media, the money bags of various parts of the country, put their money behind these 2 specimens. Now, I was the best qualified, but put that aside. You had other people, like Kerry in Massachusetts, for example, and other people who were more qualified. They were sane. And even if they had shortcomings, if you put them in the Oval Office and put a good bunch of advisors around there, you might get a good process of government out of them. We don't. So what we have is we have an American people which sat there and watched while what they knew to be a mental case and a dummy were the only available presidents of the United States. And anybody who understands what the presidency of the United States means as an absolutely unique quality of institution on this planet would realize the importance of having a qualified president in that office at the time when the financial crisis, the global monetary crisis, was inevitable. And these 2 clowns, and Lieberman as well, the vice presidential candidate, didn't say a word about the crisis, the financial crisis, which was then oncoming. People have lost tens of trillions of dollars globally from the collapse of this system. In one sector of the U.S. financial market alone, 3 trillion people who are running the Israeli nuts are also running an operation by recruiting certain Islamic nationals, people of Islamic persuasion, to do similar kinds of things in order to set, rub two sticks together to make a fire.
All right, these aren't isolated events. There's some orchestration, some intelligence behind all of this. This isn't just the IDF. It isn't just Osama bin Laden or somebody wanting to bring down the infidel in the name of Allah. We've got confirmed now the White House is being evacuated. The Pentagon is evacuated. It was just a fire. It wasn't a bomb, but they have a record of a U.S. military helicopter circling the Pentagon, and then there was a massive fireball. Where does this? What's? I'm sorry.
Could be another truck.
Yes, it could be another truck bomb. Those shape charges have proven to be very effective in the past. So, where does this end then? Not in the sense of in the future. Where does this end in the sense of organization? It's the Pentagon. It is confirmed now on several news sources that the Pentagon is experiencing explosions right now. My goodness.
They mean business.
They're evacuating the White House at the moment. And yes, they mean business. This is this is a very systematic operation. If they're snatching planes, if all three of these planes, the two we have from New York and this thing on the Pentagon, to get that kind of thing, to snatch planes like that, that's a pretty sophisticated operation. Oh yeah, this isn't a bunch of malcontents of some grassroots organization finally striking back. You're going to have some rather heavy-duty intelligence network and some real intelligence experience with this.
The question is, where were the relevant intelligence agencies who are in charge of monitoring this problem? Now, I've been putting this out for some time. Not this, I didn't know this airplane thing, but I assumed almost anything could happen. But on the Washington, D.C. targeting. So obviously the Pentagon means this is obviously clearly Washington, D.C. targeting. This is obviously intended to imply something coming out of the Middle East. Okay? This means that there's been some kind of either incompetence or a fix on the whole security operation. Because you can't get this kind of thing without a real goof on the security side. So somebody in charge of security was not really very effectively in charge. You can't go around snatching planes in a coordinated fashion like this. You can't do it. Somebody has to be really sloppy.
Well, we've got, if this were arising from some Middle East effect, it's been almost a year now since the Clintons did their about-face with the Palestinians in order to secure election for Hillary with the Jewish vote in New York. And ever since then, I don't know what the death count is, between 2,000 and 3,000 maybe. The little kind of, a plane? A plane has flown into the Pentagon. They've had an explosion at the Pentagon now.
That's confirmed.
I don't know if that's confirmed or not. It must be coming in from another. What's the source of that? CBS is reporting that a plane has flown into the Pentagon.
I hope that somebody's got some reports of where these planes were coming from.
Well, one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center was definitely confirmed as an American Airlines 767 hijacked out of Boston. They haven't announced yet whether there was anybody on the plane or not.
Must have been. It must have been. The point is, unless it's really a goof up, because how can a plane take off without clearance?
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's taking off without clearance,
everybody will know it.
It becomes an immediate security problem.
Yes. Yeah. In the Middle East, just because of Hillary's need to get the Jewish vote.
Well, I think that was something that fell in there.
Well, probably true, but then Sharon's march up the Temple Mount stairs.
But it's not Sharon. Sharon did. It's not Sharon's operation.
No.
The thing is, it comes from the inside of the Israeli Defense Forces, and that Sharon is virtually a civilized human being compared to some of those guys in there. And I've been afraid that they might kill him in order to use his killing as a pretext for using, shall we call them, weapons of mass destruction against places like Baghdad and Damascus and Tehran.
Were they the forces behind Rabin's assassination?
Yeah, these safeguards. Absolutely. And they're people in the United States who politically, in a sense, are authors of the production of some of the nuts who have been shipped into Israel to increase the problem. Then, of course, you have the operation, which is you have them in the Arab world,